there. Total, full-on, forceful, just loving it right there. Urb Thrasher here with Radical Russ.
Back.
Hanging out here with Dustin and Ryan from Black Pussy. And you just heard the fifth tune. The first tune that we heard was For the Sake of Argument. And right there was the eighth tune, and that was Butterfly. And Dustin, the ending right there is just total, full-on, almost like just a rock and roll onslaught.
Yeah, the tempo speed up is, something I have to admit I stole from Caius, as an idea, like super connected to the desert scene for a long time since I was a kid. And I really got into those drummers and the way they structured songs, of course, which they kind of took from Blue Cheer and Sabbath and Trouble. But that was one thing, they weren't afraid to tempo change. It's like jazz, but they would really run with it. Early Queens of the Stone Age.
Absolutely.
Like some of those demos, like the Man's Ruin splits they put out. They did a lot of shit like that. So that was, I love that. So, you roll with that. Or early Floyd, like Piper at the Gates of Dawn, like Sid he wasn't afraid of tempo shifting. It's not a drum machine. We can move wherever we want to move. So.
Yeah.
And Ryan pulled off the solo for sure at the end there.
Yeah, you got some shreddy going on there. If you really,
it's all right.
If Ryan wanted to shred, he can probably get up there and.
I just kind of became like halfway decent at guitar yesterday.
It's true.
Both of us have been playing musical instruments forever, and then it's easy to fall in love with the guitar. But you don't get good at it right away. That's for
when
sure.
you get pushed,
Yeah,
a lot of my writing, as I'm writing, and I'll hear how the lead's supposed to be, and I have to kick his ass and push him, to do that, to not be, you can do this. And
yeah, I didn't get stressed about writing that solo, but it's on tape forever. And you want it to shine instead of be like a sore spot in your history or something.
Absolutely.
You really want it to sing. You want to do the song justice, like Dustin was saying. We're all here to serve the songs and to make them as amazing as we can make them. It's all about the songs.
You guys right on the spot there in the studio too when you guys are recording this? Certain things happen and then you go...
Certain things, yeah.
Whoa,
For sure.
Yeah, there's spontaneous magic, of course.
On the first album, I went in a lot looser than the Magic Mustache. The first album, I had a concept.
Well, your brand now too, more so. You know what you wanted.
Yeah, and the first album is very different from this album, and I think each album has a different concept. But I went in real loose for the first album. I had it kind of sketched out, and I played all the drums, all the guitars. Ryan played bass, and I did everything else. Adam played a track of bass, and I had a bro, Peter, who did all the artwork for the first record and the second record. He played
a guitar lead on
Indiana.
On Indiana.
And sang some backups. But I went in there, it was probably the funnest record I've ever made, because I went in not caring, because I couldn't get anyone to help me make the record. I'm like, come on, help me. I had to beg Ryan to help me make the first Black Pussy record. I'm like, just rehearse so I can rehearse drums and shit like that.
Well, dude, we were in 3 bands.
Yeah. We were working a lot, but I'm like, I really got to make this record. It was really important for me, and all the lyrics were coming out, and I'm like, this is an important record. But a lot of it just happened right on the spot. Like Indiana, I thought it was just going to be an acoustic song, but the day or so before, I wrote this drum beat, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to do it like this. And the whole lead on Indiana, I'm just playing the lead. It's a one-take improv, and I think
No, it's fucking amazing. 2 wahs or a volume pedal and a wah.
And a volume pedal. And
on the couch, jamming this totally...
My feet are going like this.
That's badass.
And it's a one-take improv, and I'm like, there it is. That's it.
Yeah.
Rolled with it. And so...
That's fucking awesome.
I don't like being proud. That's a bad quality, but I'm stoked that it came out so well, because it was really just free and spiritual, and it worked. And I like listening. Like when I hear one of my records, I'm like, I like that record. That's cool. It's real. It's raw and real. So very stoked.
Yeah, speaking of records, and it feels 70s. You guys love that time period and bringing in the 70s. One thing we've been talking about and hearing the word here this segment a lot is guitars, and those of you guys who follow the show know that I fucking love a flying V. And Dustin, you are freaking one of the men. Love that, dude. Talk about your flying V, man, and some of maybe the amps and maybe something that brings your sound, your guys' sound for some of the musicians listening right now.
Right on. Well, there's a lot of shit that brings sound, and I love that I'm being attached to the Flying V because it's a pretty new bug, maybe only in the last year.
It was on tour.
It was on tour. And just ran into a Flying V, and it just talked to me. And it's a long crazy story, but I ended up with it, and it blew my mind. Like the feel of it, and it's a 74, 75. And the neck's fat, and the sound of the giant piece of mahogany, and I was just sold. I never thought I'd play a Flying V. I'm like, like Tom Petty. So Tom Petty used to be a big Flying V fan. Most people don't even know that. Everyone's
That's right.
Tom Petty, he plays Rickenbacker 12-string. But the reality was, he was a Flying V fan, and he stopped playing Flying Vs because the metal scene took it over, and it got attached to the metal scene. But, Billy Gibbons loves Flying Vs. A lot of people love Flying Vs, but there was a period where the metal people just kind of almost gave it a bad name. Some people give it a good name, Like
well, that's where I come in.
KK Downing.
I was about to say KK Downing, James Hetfield, Randy Rhoads.
Right,
those were my three dudes, and they all fucking played.
But everyone kind of jumped on that bandwagon. So when there's a few good dudes, there's a fucking lot of shitty dudes that are like just hurting something for a while. I mean, that's with anything.
Yep.
You guys are in the weed game, so like, if there's some good weed, there's a shitload of bad weed coming. The swag is on its way because everyone's trying to get their piece. But so I thought I would, I was just like, it's a weird guitar. And I'd owned one in the early 90s as well. And I loved it, but the bug didn't bite me until this one. And then it was just on from there. I'm like, this is my guitar. I just didn't care about it. I'm like obsessed, dreaming about the V, just like sleeping with it and just writing new style of songs, like gallop songs. I'm like, oh yeah, this you could feel.
So it's added a certain little.
Oh yeah,
that's
well,
badass.
The first time I played it live, like the sweetest thing I could say about the V is like a lady that is not subdued. Like you get her and you're like, let's go, baby, and she's like moving all over. Like all of a sudden, you're banging her this way, and she's like, no, I want it from behind. And then she like flip, and you're like, oh my god, we're here now. And then she, and you're scissoring and shit, and I'm like, how is this happening?
What do you play, Ryan?
I play an SG right now, which I sort of traded Dustin for, I guess. I was putting together the Strat. I had this vision of the white Strat. It's just a beautiful. Hendrix obviously popularized how beautiful that is. So I was doing that, but the best sound wins. I mean, we have this saying, like, the best idea wins, best sound, best tone wins. And
that's a big deal in our camp. Best idea wins. Only the best win. It's not ego. It's not your opinion. We don't deal with opinion. It's like science. It's true. It's
best tone wins.
Best tone wins. Best idea wins. And
that's just
so you got to suck it up and go, okay, we're going. You have to admit that that's better.
I kind of took over this SG, and I've always loved how SGs feel. Like Dustin's saying, like on your body. Like you want a guitar that feels good on your body because you're going to be hanging onto it for a second while you're on stage. And now I'm kind of hooked as well. I love it.
I dig it, man. I dig it. Talking with the dudes from Black Pussy. Hey, let's get to a tune. You guys think the 9th tune on the album is Lion's Breath. Ryan, what's up with Lion's Breath?
Well, what do you
like about playing that tune?
That's a rock song. Let's see.
A little bit on the heavier side.
There's a rock. I don't know, man. That's just. It's funny because I would think on the first listen you might think that's a pop song, but feedback I'm getting from people, and then my own spirit says it's kind of a sad song.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. This is news to me.
Yeah.
Let's let them judge. Let's come back and talk about it.
Okay.
Let's play it and come back and talk about it.